I'm Zach Cook, and this is my CompSci 1300 final project. For my final project, I decided to go with Learn the Code is Carmen San Diego. If you don't know what that is, basically, as a player, you're going to walk around this little map and interact with NPCs, fight hackers on your computer, and visit the store to upgrade your computer. Also, along the way, there's like misfortunes that can happen to you, such as like losing parts or getting frustrated, and that's the main bulk of it. I think the best place to start or I guess I can start on how I built it. So luckily I made this little document. When I started up with this little thing of a plan of what I needed to do. So you can see I started off, I said, okay, I'm gonna create a code skeleton and kind of write the pseudocode for the game flow. And even like with my code skeleton, I'm like, hey, I need to define objects, like start off with what objects I'm gonna use, how I'm gonna divide up the information, start writing out what functions I'm gonna use with those objects, and then pseudocode in like the game flow. And then from there, I actually broke it down into this rest of the part came after I pseudocoded in and broke up what I actually needed to do of initializing the game, creating all the initial stuff, then working on like a Best Buy feature, dealing with hackers, making puzzles, doing random events, and finishing, like adding finishing touches. And then you can see, so here's actually the document I used for that, of the code skeleton, like the thing, and like my pseudocode. So I started off, here's my documents, I wanted to add these, and just, I started off, obviously, like I said, here's the objects I'm gonna use. Then I actually went down to like how the game flow was gonna work. Here's the function I'm gonna use. I'm gonna make a Best Buy function, I'm gonna make a buy function, make a player turn function where each of these things can happen. And then like on the misfortune, here's some other stuff that will run in the background. And then I actually wrote out the pseudocode for it, so I got a little more in depth with the objects. And it wasn't like super in depth. Like you can see I said use map class. So I did that for more like I just kind of wrote like little notes for myself. Here's what I need to do. And actually went into the game flow. We're like, hey, you set the player name, go into the Best Buy function. Here's what the Best Buy function looks like. And as you get into the player turn, you give the user option to do any of these. And you can see like I wrote down like what would need to happen if they chose this like option. So if they want to fight a hacker, see if they're actually at the location of a hacker, and then run the fight hacker function. And so on and so forth for all of these. And actually I coded in what each of those little functions you saw earlier would actually need to do. So like, hey, misfortune, you need to create a random number. If it's this, print out this. And so on and so forth, you can see. And here's the game flow. But and we can actually get into how the game runs. So that's what you're actually here for. So you can see, let's load up the project. So I say, hey, welcome to Learn the Code is Carmen San Diego. What's your first name? I like my game to be a little more personal, kind of something like that. So I'll say, hey, I'm Zach, I'm ready to play. And then you start off, you get all this information of here's what you need to do, here's an explanation of like what all the parts that you can buy in the store are. For now, we're just gonna buy like, it also has like the limits you have, so like you can only buy 3 of each part, so you're not gonna try and buy a 4th of the CPUs. They'll say, hey, you're at the max number. And kind of the same thing. I don't think there's a limit on the antivirus. I didn't put one of these. So you can find as many of those as you want. VPNs cap out at 2. Or so if I try to find another one, nothing happens. And then internet provider level, you get to choose from the levels of which one you want. I want level 5 because I want the best. And hey, we're there. So now we're gonna leave. You can see here's our actual map. You can see there's 2 random NPCs that can be anywhere from 1 to 3. And the same thing with the amount of hackers, but you can't see where the hackers are. So, we can actually start moving around. Actually, I'll go to NPC first. Hey, okay, we encountered a hacker halfway there. So you can see we ran into Cheeto Dweller. That's one of the random names. Those switch out, and you're given the option to either challenge him or forfeit. I'm gonna want to challenge him, and we'll see. Hey, we beat him. So we got 50 of his coins, and now we can just move on. So I'm continue going over to my NPC, and hey, we encountered the NPC. What do you want to do? We're gonna want to speak to him. And we'll say, hey, no, try my luck. And hey, they're friendly, so we got a free little gift. We're able to move on. And you can see we haven't moved on yet too, so that means there's another hacker somewhere on this board, which I don't know if we'll have time to get to, but oh well. So hey, there's our NPC again. We're gonna want to speak to him. We're gonna do a puzzle. So you can see, hey, we get this little trivia question. And I know from like experience, it's gonna be like 13. Oh no, okay, that's a different one. So you can see how we're incorrect. So we'll just leave in shame. But yeah, there's other stuff. We can repair a computer. Our computer's not broken yet, but I actually implemented, so hey, we wasted our part. But you can see the CPU number goes down, so we're just gonna leave after we wasted that. It's a little unfortunate. And then yeah, we can try the server room. I don't know if there's anything else we need to get to. Oh, we can use an antivirus. We don't have a virus right now. Oh, and you can also see, hey, we got our team, but we actually lost a CPU because our team was robbed.